welcome back to Mem's Journeys. As you can see, I'm at home now. I've been away for a couple of weeks and I'm home. I've been home for a few days and already I've done quite a few things since I've been home. But my trip was very interesting. I went all the way up to Waitangi and stayed there for a few days. And that was interesting in itself because it was just so packed. It's just not my thing to be in such a packed up environment. But anyway, I stayed there for a few days because of the important kaupapa. And then I came back. I made my way back through the coastal roads that were the most interesting and the most beautiful. I was going to go out to Mangawhai Heads and have a look, but I ended up turning back because it just seemed such a long way to go off the main drag. I got down to AOTEAROA and then I went through the coastal roads to Auckland, and then I went around the East Coast Bays roads, and that was really interesting. That part of Auckland is very pretty. But it's so built up now that it's hard to see the natural beauty of it that must have been there once. So I made my way through that in the horrific traffic jams and congested traffic situation in Auckland, and ended up having to go to Pukekohe to Hingaia Reserve. Mind you, Hingaia Reserve was on my plan anyway, because I've never been there before. I do have a short video on it in one of my other videos, so there is some information about all of my freedom camping stops. So I stayed there for a night, and then that was where I went from the mainland, so to speak, onto the Coromandel Peninsula. It wasn't so hard really to get that far. I mean, it just didn't seem that far. But anyway, I did travel from Pukekohe, from Hingaia Reserve, to right around to the bottom of the west coast of Coromandel Peninsula to a bay called WAIOMU Domain. And it's a very beautiful little bay. And I thought I was in heaven when I arrived there, because it had been such a long, hot trip previously, the previous day, and then that same day. So it was a real relief to get there and finally have a place to stop and put up your camp, because you can be driving, and when you're camper vanning around, you can be driving for miles and miles and not be able to stop anywhere. So to eventually get there was a real great thing. It was a real relief, should I say. So I got there and I looked around and I thought, oh, I could stay here for a couple of days. But then I noticed a sign just further along, and I walked up to it and had a look, and it said camping prohibited, or overnight parking prohibited. So that was the first rule. And then I realised later on that all the freedom parks were down the other end of the domain on a gravel patch, a bit of gravelly land and no shade. So I thought to myself, oh well, I'm not going to go and park there right now. It's just too hot, and I don't want my van getting heated up like an oven. So I stayed under the bahutakawa trees that were there, and later on, as the sun got down a bit, I went over to where the freedom camping parks were, and lo and behold, there was no room. So I mean, they were all just parked one after the other, like this, like that. There was an arrow here, a sign here, a sign there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 8 to 9 parks in between the signs right at the end of the road, and that's where only, now I know that now, that's where you could park. And of course there wasn't enough room. There was only one more room for a small car, which managed to get in there. And so I parked next to that, thinking that it would be all right. But later I was to find out it wasn't all right. But anyway, I sort of settled down for the night, and I was getting my tea ready and everything. And it must have been around about 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. And I saw a truck come around, and I think it was a council truck. Now, what council is that? Coromandel District Council truck. And it was a white truck, and it had the emblem on the side, similar to the ones that we've got here. And was checking us out, and I thought, oh, well, he hasn't said anything to me, so it must be okay to park here. Because I was in the freedom parking area, and I was about 2 metres away from the last car park. I wasn't in anyone's way. Yeah, so, and he treated off in his truck, and I settled down for the night. And then some ungodly time of the morning, around about 7 o'clock, I guess, I hear this. Hello, hello, are you there? Are you there? Hello, are you there? You're not supposed to camp here. And I thought, oh my God, yes, I'm here, but I was asleep, but now I'm not. You know, what is it? And he said, look, you're not supposed to camp here. This isn't where the Freedom car park is. And I'll tell you what, I'll write out your ticket and put it through the window. So I was like, oh, okay. I just broke it up. I was like, oh, you know, expletive. And he passed me the ticket for the window. This one, actually. And it was an infringement notice. Don't know if you could read that, it might be back to front. But it was an infringement notice given to me. So I got my ticket, and not only did I get my ticket, but I got the knock. And the knock was really scary. So I got a ticket. I wasn't the only one that got a ticket. There were people parked by the beach, under the trees, by the amenities, you know, far away from the Freedom camping area. And they also got a ticket. They were self-contained. I think they were certificated self-contained. Most of them were. Yeah, that I know of from the look of their vans and that. They got tickets as well. So he did, you know, he did the same thing with, he came in, circled around, saw us where we were all parked, didn't say a word, and then went off. And then called us early in the morning, you know. Possibly if I'd have got up at 6 and left, I might have been okay. But I didn't, because I thought I was okay. Anyway, I got the ticket, and I got the knock, and I got the ticket. So that was really disappointing for me. But there's another thing that I want to say about WAIOMU Bay, is that unlike the northern beaches, you know, the Coromandel beaches are very stony and full of sharp shells and sharp rocks. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to go for a swim there because it was very stony. So it was hard to walk on for a start. And then on top of that, you wouldn't be able to sit down because you might sit down on some jutting rocks that would be jutting straight up. So, you know, it wasn't a beach that you could really enjoy. Maybe you could sunbathe on there if you wanted to. Have a picnic and just look at it. Look at the splendour of the sea, the bay. But other than that, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't gather shellfish. You couldn't go for a swim. I'm not even sure if they took their boats out there. You'd have to go way out because, you know, you'd have to wait. You know, you'd have to wait for, I don't know, high tide, I guess. Because when it's high tide, the water comes right on road level. Yeah, so it wasn't a beach that I'd ever go back to again anyway, because it wasn't that interesting. In Northland, you could go and stop on the side of the road and just jump in and have a swim and cool off, you know, but not in the Coromandel. I wouldn't do that. So, having got my ticket, I had a look at it, and I got a fine for, would you believe this, I got a fine for $400. $400. So that's what you can look forward to if you go to the Coromandel and you're parking in the wrong place and you get caught. No warning, no considerations, just a ticket. And not a small ticket, a big fat ticket. So I accept responsibility, though. I wasn't parked between the signs, but all I'm saying is that it would have been nice to get a warning so that I'd have, you know, I knew that I had a bit of wiggle room. You don't go around freedom camping if you're really rich, you know. You don't try that way of life if you've got a lot of money. So why would you want to be fined that much money? But anyway. So after that, I went to use the amenities, and then I got my things, made my bed, got my things ready, and I just left. I was going to go over the road to the cafe and get a coffee and some ice, so I badly needed some ice for my chiller, but I just had enough by then. I kept it to myself, though. I mean, it's nobody else's fault. It wasn't any of the other campers' fault. I think they were a bit sympathetic, but it was up to me to do what I had to do. And as I was walking, actually, to the amenities, there was a guy there that had been parked there, and he got a ticket too, and he was laughing it off, and I thought to myself, oh, well, man, I'm not laughing mine off. I mean, I'm sitting with my feelings, you know, I'm sitting with my feelings that I'm not very happy with my ticket. But when I do that, then I know that I could work my way through it and work out, well, how am I going to pay this now? So, yeah, that's what I came back with from WAIOMU. I didn't get any souvenirs from, except maybe a couple of stones from WAIOMU Bay. And if I were you out there, I'd be very careful about going there. Be very careful about going into the Coromandel. I think I just don't feel that it's very welcoming to freedom campers in certificated self-contained vans. As even though we go to all that trouble to certificate our vans, we still treat it as if we're doing something criminal by not parking in the right place. Yeah, I mean, there are people who park all over the place, but I mean, that's not me. So I went straight back up the west coast and went up to Thames for a little look around, because I've been to Thames before, and I just thought, oh no, it wasn't Thames, sorry, it was Coromandel, the Coromandel township. It's right up the top of the peninsula. I went there, had a look. I bought a garden ornament, and then I came back down the east coast. I didn't think about ever stopping and spending any more money there at the Coromandel. I just really went to Coromandel town, picked up that garden ornament that I had my eye on, and carried on down the east coast and went to Waihi. And when I got to Waihi, I was so exhausted. I couldn't get any, there was no nowhere to stay, you know, no room at the inn, so to speak. I mean, I had stopped at AOTEAROA beforehand, but there were 2 spots. There were like 2 spots, and they were both taken up. So there was one great big RV in there, and then one little car, and on the other side there was another RV who might even get a ticket because he's not in one of those 2 spots. You know, I mean, it's 2 spots. It's a bit at AOTEAROA. So anyway, I had my lunch there, and then I moved on. By this time I'd had enough, so I decided to carry on. Went to Waihi. All of the Waihi freedom camps were full because, well, it's February and everybody's out having a holiday. So I thought, and I've been to Waihi before, and I quite like Waihi. And there's lots of freedom camping areas there, which, I mean, I'd probably go back to Waihi. Beautiful beach, beautiful. Yeah, typical East Coast, just beautiful. White sands and lots of little bird sanctuaries around there as well, which I really like. I ended up having to get a motel unit and staying the night and just resetting my batteries and everything, because yeah, getting this was it really upset me, you know. I mean, they know that we're all on holiday, you know. How are they to know that it might have been my first holiday for about 10 years and I have to get, you know, he has to give me this. So, also I've read the reviews on WAIOMU and Coromandel and that, and I see in the news different things, but on the reviews for WAIOMU B, a lot of people are saying they got a ticket for $400 and no one's very happy. So, yeah, that's something you've got to watch out for as a freedom camper. You may have stuck to all the rules, but, you know, someone is always out there to ruin your day. Yeah. Yeah, so in the end, and then I went from Waihi to Tauranga, and then from there across to Raglan, and that's pretty much me. That was my second big incident on my trips, my tiki tours around. Yes, it was a shock to get this, but it's made me a little bit wiser. So, yeah, I learnt something from it. And my learning is, don't take things for granted. It might be okay in one district council area to park close to the Freedom Camp car parks, and there may be a really nice ranger that goes around and just warns people, but that doesn't happen everywhere. You've just got to remember, everywhere is different. Other councils are different. You know, other councils are hostile towards freedom campers as well. So that's got to be something to think about. So anyway, thank you for listening, and I hope this has helped you in formulating your next travel plans in your camper van or your RV. And I do appreciate you coming along and listening and watching my videos. It makes me feel really great. So if you like, so what I'd really like you to do is just click that like button, subscribe, and even make a comment. I'm quite open to comments. But until then, whenever you're out in nature, don't forget. Only leave your footprints. Ka kite.